Welcome to Black Businesses Matter, a podcast about why Black businesses matter and the benefits of collaborating and advocating for Black businesses to drive impact. Each episode, we will cover legacy, hope, Black joy, funding sources, cultural shifts, equity, and so much more. We will provide inspiration and action while spreading some joy to a thriving community of Black business owners and leading thought leaders. Black Business Matters podcast is produced by the L3 Agency, a culturally sensitive influencer marketing and communications firm in Chicago, where relationships are our currency, passion is our profit maker, and people are our bottom line. I'm Larvetta Lofton, your host and founder of the L3 Agency. Welcome to another episode of Black Businesses Matter podcast. I'm truly excited about our next guest, Ashanti Johnson. I've had the pleasure of interviewing her a few times, but she is making her debut on Black Businesses Matter podcast. And we're excited. She is the founder of 360 Mind.Body.Soul. She's going to talk about her being a mental fitness expert as well as a fitness expert and how she is making an impact in Chicago with the work she's doing. And as a result of the pandemic, she's doing some virtual things. So you can definitely be able to connect with her. We're going to give you some information so that those that are listening can continue to connect with her. And we're also going to talk about the work that she's doing and the expansion that's occurring and allow for you to support her in some of her expansion endeavors that's happening in what we call Chicago's thriving South Side, because she's on the South Loop side of Chicago, which is a thriving community. And so Ashanti, welcome.
And thank you for having me. I'm so honored to be here.
I just love, every time I come to you, I'm always feeling like I got to say I went to the gym. So today I went to the gym. I have to make sure it's like you are the fitness, like literally mental doctor. It's like when you see your doctor, you're like, oh, yep, I made my appointment. Yep, I scheduled.
Is that why everybody does that when they see me? Like I worked out today, or they just start telling me their whole journey.
It's like we can't even be like, girl, how's your hair is cute. We're like we're gonna get in trouble. But I did feel like that. I want to talk about this journey that you've had during the pandemic. And I know that your business has thrived through the pandemic. And, what was the secret sauce for you?
Oh boy, I don't know if we necessarily thrived. We've had moments.
Are you still open? Okay. Then
yeah. No, we're still open. And, I've always kind of followed my spidey sense. So early on, when things were going crazy in Italy and I just started kind of slow roll seeing them over to the States, I was preparing us to go online just in case. That was definitely the plan, as I just saw it coming, you know what I mean? And lo and behold, we were supposed to have a big event. It was around St. Patrick's Day. And for those of you guys in Chicago, that's a big deal in Chicago. So we do a big event where everybody wears green and we have some libations at the studio. We have special guest instructors and we do what we call a marathon. It's like a 3-hour nonstop workout. And we just have a good time. And we were planning on doing that. We had a lot of people that had bought tickets. And that was the day, I think it was like the day before that the mayor said that we needed to shut down. And praise God, I had already gotten everything situated with like Zoom, and I had prepared my instructors. I knew which ones were ready to teach virtual. I had a strategy for how we were going to do it. And so as soon as she called it, I just turned the key and we flipped over that next day. But it was an uphill battle, Larvetta. I mean, listen, Peloton has saved a lot of lives, in terms of keeping people healthy and active and fit. But there is a huge part of the population that wants no part of anything virtual, no matter if they have the equipment there, no matter how big the screen is or how, convenient the service is. They want to be in the gym, but, they were scared and we couldn't do it. So we had to fight those battles with our clientele that even though we were providing an offering, we didn't skip a beat. We had the same amount of time frames available. We worked on our curriculum to make sure that everything was doable, whether you had equipment, like all the bells and whistles and all the boxes checked. Some people were still just not with it. And as things rolled along with the discrimination and the riots and all the things that make you very emotional and raw. And what do we do when we get emotional? Now we're drinking more. Now we're eating more and trying to like numb our feelings. Things got bad for a little while, and it was almost like we were no match, you know what I'm saying, to everybody's stress level and just exhaustion that comes with that. But we kept trucking along, kept going because we knew we were needed. And we've had some highs and we've had some some lows. So that's kind of how I would answer that question. That's a long way around, but that's been my experience.
20, you're 11 years, right? Is it 11
Yes, it'll be 11 years in
Okay.
December.
Okay. 11 years. I mean, when you think about 11 years, you think about, right, an 11-year-old child, right? They're going or entering into puberty. So you're right at that point where expansion, growth is happening, some good things, some bad things. And so, we've got to take the good and the bad. And when I say thriving, what I've learned is that thriving says that you've pivot, right? And found that, hey, we know what our clients needed and they need our gym open, which is why I want to talk about impact, right? Because we realize that, fitness, I know for 360, it's about your mind. For, a lot of gyms, it was about your body, right? It was about, the vanity of it all. And I know from a trend standpoint, are you seeing that more of a trend? Then, obviously physical is still a core value and core competency of 360, but are you seeing a rise in this mental fitness as a result of the pandemic?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, for years, I've been wanting to do and have done
Okay.
curriculum just centered around mental awareness and the mental journey that you go on when you're trying to change anything in your life, but definitely your body. Like you almost have to become a totally different person in order to get all the way to your goal and then maintain it. It's an identity shift, right? So there's a mental component that people just don't recognize at first. They just want to, flatten their stomach or, tighten up or lose a couple of pounds. That's just how simply they think about it. But it's really more like going back and getting a doctoral degree. It's like there's a lot of time that you got to put into this thing. Daily, you have to make many, many decisions. And, the pandemic tested everybody's quote unquote healthy lifestyle. Everybody thinks that they're doing a good job. Like there's not one person that I've ever met in 11 years that has said like, Ashanti, my diet is crap. Everybody says, I don't eat that bad. That's not my problem. And nobody's like totally trashing their body, but it boils down to things like serving size, right? It boils down to recognizing if you're 5'2" and you don't get much activity, you don't need as many calories as someone that's 5'10" and is a, postal worker or something like that. You know what I'm saying? So it took a toll because everybody was sitting at home. And again, that emotional trigger, it's a trigger. It's like when you get we don't really feel our feelings as human beings. It's been sucked out of us since we were little. And, no matter if it's a good feeling or a bad feeling, we're not practiced at it. And so we like to numb it or heighten it or shrink it. We don't just let it be. So now we're at home, we have to sit down and have to sit into all of that. And we're doing other destructive things, you know what I'm saying, to try to get away from it. The fear of it all, right? That's an emotion. The uncertainty of it all, that's another emotion. Now you're gaining weight and you feel like you don't know what to do because you don't like virtual. And now you feel sad, about all of that, or angry at yourself. And it has major impact on what you think your possibilities are. So I started a mental program that was just strictly mental last fall around this time for the first time. And it did really well. And it's something that I know that I couldn't have done before, pre-COVID, because people associate any sort of mental work with like, mental health, right? Like something's wrong with me. It's not that. The definition that I use of mental fitness is really just questioning your own beliefs, questioning your own beliefs. The definition of a belief is just a thought that you keep thinking until you believe that it's true. and some things that we think over and over again aren't necessarily emphatically true, you know, like I can't eat carbs, right? Or otherwise I'm gonna gain weight. Well, that's not all the way true, but if you never question that, you'll live this really deprived sort of lifestyle, you know what I mean? And never really continue on because it's just very difficult to cut a complete food group out of your diet. Like that's difficult.
I think about this, Ashanti, and of course, I've known you and supported 360. And you grew up in a family that, had a fitness lifestyle. That's something that you grew up and knew, right? Growing up.
Yeah, my parents were very active. I grew up in Los Angeles, so I moved to Chicago when I was 22. So my parents were very active, always at the gym. My dad was like the supplement king, and my mom was always on a new diet, everything from Weight Watchers to Jenny Craig to Nutrisystem to pills and shots and juices and low fat everything in my house. I remember it was like all about low fat and low sugar, no fat, right? That was the horriblest thing to do. But yeah, so I grew up with diet mentality. I grew up with real nutrition conversations. I grew up with like all of it. I had an eating disorder even in high school where I was bulimic for about a year because I couldn't figure out my weight. So I've kind of went the gamut as it relates to, my client and what they're going through, thinking about, what they're going to do about their weight. If some people have never been to their goal. And when they start trying to, they really struggle with believing that they can, right? Because it's somewhere that they've never been. And so that's a moment when you need that mental fitness, right? If you don't believe that you can do something, you're going to take baby action, like really small action. And then you're going to get really, small results that'll reinforce that belief. But if you believe that you can, you're going to take like huge action. You're going to go crazy because you can do it. It's just a matter of time. And then you're going to get major results. And then those results will reinforce that belief. And it's that cycle that is kind of the world that I like to work in with this mental side of fitness. But yeah, it definitely started from my journey. I get it.
And with the eating disorder that you had, like, do you work with anybody with those disorders, like currently?
Nobody that's outright with it. I have in the past, but let me say this, and I don't know if this is the absolute truth, but I grew up, I feel like, in a different culture. Like LA culture is a little bit
It is
different than
very
Chicago.
different. I'm glad you said that, Ashanti.
I
Very.
mean, it's what it is, And so, like, my version of thinking and my way of thinking at that time in high school in LA is just kind of different from what I think girls my age in Chicago went through and what they felt like they needed to look like and be like. So, it's not to say that it has not happened because I've definitely met people, and that have divulged to me at 360 that they struggle with it too. But it's just not as common. I come across a lot more clients that have had like weight loss surgery, and are trying to get fit and that sort of thing, which is equally a mental shift that you have to have because your identity has changed really quickly, but the habits may not be in place that have come along with the journey. You know what I'm saying?
I do. So you talk about identity, and I love that word that you've brought up because I think it is important. Because I've asked, in the space that you're in, you are making an impact, right? You are, changing the way people see themselves. You're changing the way people do workouts, right? So I always ask this question. So the work that you do, as a Black business owners, why do Black businesses matter?
Because it's our lifeblood to connection and identity in the world, right? Like individual people do amazing things, right? But I'll never forget when I got a job working for Johnson Publishing Company on Michigan Avenue in the fashion fair department. For those that don't know, Johnson Publishing is the owners of Jet and Ebony magazine, Fashion Fair Cosmetics, the Fashion Fair traveling fashion show, and just iconic company that, was owned by a Black man on Michigan Avenue that was unheard of back in like the 70s, and it has all of this rich history. And I can't explain to you what it used to feel like to just go into work every day and walk through that lobby and understand who and what I was working for as a Black business that was known all over the world. Like that, it did something from my spirit. And so even though you see what I think Black people do a lot, at least I do it, imagine people like Obama and Oprah as like these outlier people, right? That's one thing that is important to our identity as a people. But when you see full on Black owned businesses thriving in a way that is just as successful as, other people, you know what I'm saying, in the world, you understand what's possible for you. And I think, as a people, we sometimes struggle with that identity. You know what I mean? We believe that we have to become something else in order to make it and to succeed. But when you have a company that is being itself and it's celebrating who we are as a people and showcasing it in a way that it's being bought into and sought after and being successful in doing so, I think that just does something holistically for our race and also for other races to kind of see what we're capable. I just think it's important that Black businesses thrive.
Yeah.
You know?
I'm so glad that you say that. And so that is important. And I love that you're bringing up the word identity, because I do think that is a word that we just haven't addressed. And I think it carries in our health matters. So I'm blown away with you saying it, because it definitely brings chills to me right now to know that that is a struggle for us. Can you share like your experience with working with other Black businesses? Like, how has that been? We hear, you can't work with the other Black business. And we know there are things that occur as in anything, right? As in anything, right? I don't go to that Target on such and such street, or I don't go to that
Oh, child.
Mariano, So,
It's terrible. It really is. I mean, there's no other way to say it. Like, it's bad. I'm not proud of my experiences that I have had with other Black businesses. I was saying that I used to work for Johnson Publishing for the Fashion Fair division. I was an account executive. And so my job was to go up and down the Midwest region to all the fashion fair counters and make sure that the stock was appropriate, the beauty advisor had on her, uniform, that everything was good, the sales were good, all that type of stuff. And I was working at a time, it was like 2007, 2008. I was working at a time that, like, we remember Pantene, My Black is Beautiful.
I do. I
Came
still,
out.
yes.
For the life of me, I couldn't understand why we weren't doing that. Like, I couldn't understand why we had to wait on some like different company where the parent company is not us
Yep.
to tell us that we're beautiful and to corral all of us when we live in a city that has the same origin as like Luster's products.
Oh,
You know
yeah.
what I mean? All the different iconic brands that really has shaped us in business and in a lot of the industries that we're in, hair care, makeup, beauty. I couldn't understand that. And so when I started my company, I've always had the dream to really do some sort of like fitness explosion with like all the other owners of the gyms that are on the South Side. Traditionally in the fitness industry before COVID, let me say that summer's always been a struggle for fitness gyms because everybody's like traveling or playing tennis or running on the lakefront and that sort of thing. They're just like not wanting to be in the gym like that. And so I was like, we could do like our own like Groupon, you can come to all of our gyms for a flat rate. We could split it. Like, you know what I mean? Because a lot of our clientele go to all of us, you know what I'm saying? And I just have never been met with the same mutual feeling. Like, that's okay. You know what I mean? But I know it to be infinitely powerful. I just think that because we struggle sometimes, and this is me just like talking now, right? I don't know these things and I want to hope that they're not true, but I feel like it's this competitive sort of, if you win, then I can't mentality, this sort of like feeling that somebody's going to outshine someone. And then, someone's going to end up on the short end of the stick of that. And I don't believe in that, because I understand just by running a business and having multiple instructors. I had like up to 25 instructors working for me at one time. There's something for everybody. And not everybody is going to flock to Ashanti. Not everybody's going to like me. They're not going to like my style. They're not going to like my voice. They're not going to like the way that I move, but they're going to like something completely different. And so my job is to make sure that I got that also. Like, you know what I'm saying? I always understood that. And I think that, I just sometimes even look at Black business as to why we don't grow a little bit more like other brands is because we have lack of trust, right? In others and within our organization, we don't feel like others can do it the way that we can. Somebody told me very early, if somebody can do something to the level of a B, like your version is an A, but if they can do your B, let them do it. You know what I mean? Like all of those things, I think that we just the scarcity mentality, you know what I'm saying, kind of stops us more often than it should. It stifles us more than it helps us. We think we're protecting something, whereas we're stifling ourselves a lot. And I've been guilty of that too. I'm not,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
And I think we are all guilty of it because we all are challenged with something. I'm not going to go there anymore, and sometimes
Yeah.
I've learned that we just need to sit down and talk about it, right? And be able to just air it out and be able to do it. But I love that you brought it out and said, hey, but the collaboration was something that we weren't taught to
No.
collaborate. So that's part of it. And now that, I believe we're doing better. I want to believe that because I, believe that I collaborate with others because I want to see everyone win. I don't have the mentality that, if I win, you don't win. I feel like, you know what? I want to go on the island with you too. Let's all go to the island. Let's all enjoy it. And one of the things that you were really great was your challenges. I think you really built something that I can say was different from anything I ever saw. Specifically for Black women, you built challenges where you saw, obviously physical transformation, but I felt like there were people that really could never, like they had never seen themselves like that. And you really transformed. I know people can duplicate it, but Ashanti, you got that Ashanti, like that Ashanti sauce that you like, oh, you must have gone to 360, like for real. And it's that effect that you bring that I do think is unique. It is very unique, which is why I believe it's about impact for you as a fitness instructor. And when I think of 360 and Mind, Body, and Soul, I love the name. I've always loved the name because you really are giving people that total mind transformation, right? Or that total person transformation and being 360. I want to talk about, expansion. I know you're working on expansion, expanding the business with a bar, a smoothie bar, right?
Yes, 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 yes. We're starting small means right now just to kind of test it out and see how people take to the idea of, actually purchasing food items also there. We used to have a sublease tenant that did juices and that sort of thing, but that changed during COVID. And right now, I can honestly say people are still a little bit more like in and out, you know what I mean, versus like hanging out the way that we used to be prior to COVID. But yes, looking forward to expanding into a full-blown juice bar with snacks and salads and that sort of thing.
And
So
I'm mentioning it because we want to be able to let people know how to support you in that endeavor. We're talking about expansion, we're talking about shift, we're talking about identity and the options that are not available where the gym is located, right? Where is it located?
yeah, we're located on 29th and Michigan Avenue. And I mean, it just, other than the grocery store, there tends to really not be that many options. I mean, we live in Chicago also,
Right,
right? So, I mean, you're going to really have to look and get creative when it comes to takeout options. You're going to have to get in the kitchen if you're trying to get fit, but it helps out, especially when somebody's new, to fitness or somebody's just now getting back on the wagon, right? For the first time in a little while. Everybody needs help. It's tough enough to make it to the gym and just work out, right? That like that first day you get there, like you said, Loretta, like I worked out today. You're all proud. I love that. I love that so much. And that's what working out does. It's like, it feels like it's such an accomplishment because it's hard to get out there and really dedicate yourself to like trying on intensity for a second. So now you did all this great work. You're feeling good. Endorphins are pumping and now you're hungry. You can't stop by White Castle, right? So like, what am I going to eat? Now I'm put back into this stressful mode of like, I knew I couldn't keep this up. I don't even know what to eat, right? And yeah, you do. You know what to eat. It's just like, you don't want that. So if we can catch you right before you leave the gym, right? We got this good salad with this good grilled chicken on it, blackened chicken, right? Some salmon or something. Then you might hang in there just a little while longer. We might get you over the bridge, right? To that next really great decision.
I love that you said you might hang in there a little bit. I like that. You might. And I think that expansion, and I'm excited to be able to share because I know that what we want people to do is be able to invest in our businesses. Investment can come a number of different things, right? They can, say, hey, I'm willing to donate some food, right? I'm willing to commit to some hours. I'm willing to make a donation. Like, that's how we build on our ecosystem. And what you're doing, especially for these businesses, because many Black business owners are passionate about what they do. Like Ashanti, you are passionate about, mental fitness. Really, like when you show up as your brand because you are committed to that. And that to me is attractive in a way that, hey, I want to get to that space and understand that. So I want to talk about what do you have going on right now that people can join right now. That holiday is coming. Don't wait for the holiday, so to speak.
Yes, no, don't do it. Don't do it. Start something now. So by the
Yeah.
time it hits, you plugged into something. You
And
take
so,
care.
what do you have for those that really want to be proactive? Right.
Yeah, so we've got a couple things. We've got a pass that where you can get. So the gym offers classes every day during the week as early as 5 a.m.
What's
And then
the
we go to
website?
360mbs.com. It's MBS like Mind, Body, Soul. And all of these options are up there. But we do a pass. You don't have to commit. You could just do 30 days. If it's your first time at the gym, it's only $60. It's normally $150, but we do a trial for only $60 for those that are joining us for 30 days just to kind of check us out. And then we also have what we call a U-turn pass that will take you from now until the end of the year. So through December 31st for a $200. Okay. If you've already been to the gym, but you don't necessarily want to do a membership, but you want to come back and you want options and to be able to go to whatever class, that's a really great one. But the one that you probably should think about if you're really wanting to make some changes quickly and you really want to start a routine without a huge commitment, we're doing a 21-day workout challenge called Time is Money. And we're challenging you to take fitness classes at the gym for 3 weeks or 21 days. And for each class that you take, you get credit. And if you hit 7 fitness classes, which we have some 30-minute classes, we have full hour classes, but you got to do 7 of them within that week, you can get credit back. Based on what you paid, you get that credit back. So that's a really fun one. When that one starts November 1st, and it's called Time is Money. So if you're going to put in the time, you might as well get paid for it. The holidays are coming up. It ends the week before Thanksgiving, so that we did it intentionally just for 3 weeks.
Yep. I like that, being very intentional about it. And I know that folks can connect to you on Instagram at.
Yeah, so you can connect with me directly at _ Ashanti Johnson on Instagram or 360's Instagram page. It's at 360mbs. We check those DMs all the time. I've got a social marketing team that's on that. If you have a question for me directly, you can do that. Yeah, or the website 360mbs.com.
That's awesome. And we always ask this question, Ashanti. I know what you're going to say, but I want the world to be able to do it because we like to spread joy. What brings you joy?
Ooh, that's a tough question, Larvetta. So many things bring me joy. You know what? I think at the end of the day, freedom.
Wow.
Freedom brings me joy.
Wow.
Like I like being busy, but I like knowing that I can take my time and I have control over my time. That makes me very happy.
Well, freedom is my favorite word. So you said it so eloquently. I think, people need to be able to sit with that. Like that's a sit with
Mhm.
moment for people when you say that and understand that freedom, because I think we sometimes believe we were robbed of our freedom. So we still
Mhm.
walk with that. And it's joy because we are free. We are
Yeah, we
free.
are free. My favorite author says we are so free we can choose bondage.
Exactly. I mean, and that just says it all. And so
Yeah.
what I want to make sure for those that are listening, to make sure you support 360 at the work that they're doing, the expansion that they're doing, and the impact that they are doing. We understand that to be important because we know that Black businesses are making an impact. People who show up in those businesses really do take pride in it. They really take pride in the owner. It's a connection that you have that is just priceless. So I thank you, Ashanti, for just spending time with us on this launch of this podcast and just always saying yes, because I just appreciate you and want to continue to support you. And I want others to know about you, because what we need more 360s in the world. We need to expand. We need more in Gary, Indiana. I'm putting it out there.
Yeah. Okay.
Put it out there. We're going to go to Columbus. We're going to go to Ohio. We're going to go to Missouri. We're going to go to all these places that are struggling right now, because Ashanti has the Ashanti effect with 360 MBS, Mind, Body, Soul. And we have to understand that that's important. And so if you're listening and you want to connect with Ashanti, please do, because she has an awesome brand and she has the ability to really shift people mentally. And so being able to partner with her, therapists can partner with you. So I thank you, Ashanti. This has been awesome. I love sitting down with you. Again, I feel like when I show up, I have to show up in a room and say, I worked out.
Marvetta, you are such a care bear. I always love spending time with you. You like radiate positivity, and I so appreciate you sharing my story with your listeners. And thank you so much for your support over the years and just in general. Thank you.
I love you, girl. Go out there and be great and do what you do well and be free, because you said that brings joy to you. So make sure that you walk with that freedom. Thank you so much. I want to thank everyone for listening to another episode of Black Businesses Matter. Please subscribe to our channel so that you don't miss a show, and we hope to see you next week. Thank you. This show is brought to you by Chicago Trend. Chicago Trend catalyzes, accelerates, and finances strategic retail development to drive neighborhood transformation. If you would like to support this featured business and help them achieve their dreams, please visit chicagotrend.com. chicagotrend.com. Thanks for listening. Thank you for joining us this week on Black Businesses Matter podcast. Make sure you subscribe to our podcast wherever you listen so you will never miss a show. You can also follow us on social media at the L3 Agency and at Larvetta Speaks. If you love the show, leave a rating so that we can continue to bring you impactful episodes. You can also take the pledge and order our merch at our website at thetl3agency.com. THEL3agency.com. Thanks for listening, and see you next week.